Hey, I'm Jono.
And I'm Jess, and we're bike gearheads.
And today, we're going to be talking about the brand new Cervelo S5. This has been a benchmark for speed and aerodynamic efficiency for them for a long time, and it has the race results to back it up.
We're going to have chapter timestamps so you can jump along as you see fit.
Let's get to it.
Okay, Jono, so what is the S5?
The Cervelo S5 is their top tier racing bike, so it is designed to be for all out speed, efficiency, and racing at the highest level. Really not a climbing bike, since it is, all about the Aero, but it can climb super well, but it's not supposed to be a climbing bike.
Okay, so what were their goals in making the new S5?
Their goals were to improve what they've already done, so make it more Aero, reduce some weight, maintain stiffness, and just not screw up a great thing like they had. So like we saw with Visma and Lisa bike previous years, that the bike has been really good. So to improve upon it is pretty impressive.
I want to hear about all the small details. How many watts faster is it? How many grams lighter? I just want to know it all.
Yeah, I think for that we should talk to Maria, the Director of Product Management.
For a tool very specific like the S5, we try to maximize the amount of space that the UCI boxes allow us to have. But it's a balance between making a bike that's slippery in the wind tunnel and also handles well in real life. There's a few things that we did very intentionally to address weight, and that has to do with the way we manufacture, or let's say the way we've always done things. One of the examples of that is the way we design the brake mount for the front fork. Typically, we would have an aluminum slug that's molded inside of the fork that provides the threads for the brake to mount to. With the new S5, we've basically removed that big aluminum slug and inserted two separate smaller pieces that allow for the brake to mount to, and at the same time designed our own brake adapter that's quite a bit lighter weight. We didn't discount anything as a weight savings opportunity. So we even took a look at the SRAM UDH rear derailleur hanger and found ways to pull weight out of that piece. And as a result, we have a 1 gram lighter UDH rear derailleur hanger for the Cervelo S5.
Okay, so the biggest changes were?
Really to the front of the bike. Right away, you notice the one-piece bar stem. That's a change over the traditional V-stem they had, the two-piece setup. The head tube is deeper. The fork legs are more Aero, and overall it just looks sleeker.
Let's dive into the tech specs. Kick it off, Jono.
All right, up first, Aero is everything. This bike is faster. It's 6.3 watts faster than the predecessor, and Cervélo is confident that it's 5 watts faster than their competition. And up next, the one-piece bar stem.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, super clean cockpit. So now, obviously, like it says, one piece. You have one option, but there's like tons of different options for variations for stem length, bar width, but it's just one molded piece of carbon. And I should mention that all bar sizes are UCI legal, even in light of the new regulation change for next year. So you're covered there if you're racing a UCI event.
They thought of everything.
They did.
And fun fact, you can use the new bar stem combo on the old S5, so it's backwards compatible. And if you wanted to use the bar and stem separately from the old S5, you could put that onto the new one.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice feature that they have, because a lot of people may have a weird fit, and having the ability to run the older bar would be good, or if you have the old bike and you want the new stuff, then you can do that. All right, as we mentioned, this bike is lighter. It doesn't maybe look lighter, but they've shaved how many grams?
124.
They looked at everything and said, how can we shave a few grams?
All right, let's get into the wheels. We actually talked to Maria about this, so let's hear it from her.
We took the opportunity to work with Reserve in the design phase to design the wheels and the frame and fork as a whole system. One of the best examples of how that ends up as an advantage is that the C-tube of the frame itself is actually at an offset, and that's due to position of the front derailleur and all of the other metrics you need for the bottom bracket, etc. So the wheel was designed to be offset in shape to sit directly behind that C-tube. So you get that airflow perfectly going past the seat tube and over the rear wheel.
Well, that was great to hear from Maria about the wheel set and how closely they worked with Reserve. I think it's really cool that they also didn't increase the weight of the overall wheel set, and they made it a little bit deeper than the outgoing model.
Tell me about the rotor, Jono.
Yeah, up front with the new fork design, it is now a 160 native, so you'll need to use a 160 rotor, and you can't go down to 140.
Okay, wait, so what's the tire clearance?
Tire clearance, you can have up to a 34, but the best tire to run would be a 29 millimeter.
Okay, what about the seat post? Did anything change there?
Yeah, they shaved some grams out of there. New design to clamp the saddle, so they just shaved some grams and It's a lot cleaner looking and easier to adjust.
Okay, so Cervélo made their own UDH, right? Can you tell me about that?
They did. So they got that SRAM UDH and figured out how to machine out as much material as possible without losing its strength. They went everywhere and looked for grams to save on the overall bike.
Okay, and so they have a new SRAM Red offering, but what is it exactly?
For this year, they're gonna have a SRAM 1x option, which some people may be against, but they proved in 2023 that 1x on the S5 works really well, and now they're offering it to us at home, so we can try out what the pros have been racing on and see if it's for us.
I mean, I'm a fan of 1x, so that's great.
Yeah, you're not the only one. We actually talked to Maria and learned all about why they're fans of 1x too.
Let's hear it from her.
A 1x drivetrain has been something that road riders have been interested in for quite a long time. But because of the range of gears available, it hasn't really been viable for a lot of riders because you really sacrifice that low-end climbing gear without, in our case, an Explorer rear derailleur range. But when you have the 1046 in the rear paired to a 50-tooth front chainring, you not only get that higher top end gear, but you actually get a slightly lower low end gear. So you're really not sacrificing anything anymore. And you get a bit lighter system. It's more simplified and slightly lighter, and obviously a slightly more aerodynamic system.
All right, now it's time to talk about all the different build specs. So we talked about that 1x red. That is an option. And there's also going to be a 2x red axis. There'll be a Dura-Ace Di2, a Force axis, and a Ultegra Di2 option.
Another cool thing about their build is that all of the bikes come with power meters, which I'm personally a fan of after just having bought a power meter for the bike I just bought.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you buy the bike and it doesn't come with a power meter, and you're like, well, now I have to buy a power meter. So it's just more stuff to worry about, but they thought about that right away, and you can just get it on your bike. Also, the bottom brackets on the higher end builds, so on the Dura-Ace, it comes with the ceramic speed bottom bracket, which is really cool. And then on the SRAM builds, they come with the Dub ceramic bottom bracket. So another little upgrade you get right away.
There's a few other small touches they made that the builds include so you don't have to think about it later. What were they?
So the Cervélo comes with a front accessory mount, so you can run your computer, and also they have a rear one, so you can run a tail light off of the saddle clamp. And on the red axis build, you actually get the Hammerhead Karoo 3 computer.
That's pretty sweet.
How many sizes does it come in?
6, but what sizes are they?
Ooh, they start at a 48 and go up to a 61. So what size were you on?
I was on a 51 with a stack of 519 and a reach of 376. But if I were to do it again, I would probably go with the 48 because it was just a bit too big for me.
Yeah, I'd say based on the looks on how you were on the bike, you looked a little stretched out and the seat post was super slim, so I think you could definitely size down, but we were working with what we had there.
Yep.
I was on a 56, which was too small for me, but
Way too small for you.
way too small. But we got there before this launch and got to ride the bikes early, so normally I'd be on a 58, and 58 Cervelos fit me really well, so that's what I would go with.
I want to talk colors. What do they offer?
They have 3 different colors. So the first one would be lithium, 5 black, and then carnelian, which is a red. I should mention that some colors are not available in certain builds, so you want to look at the offerings there. So that leads us to how do these bikes ride, and we got to test them. So let's first talk about the speed and power transfer of this bike. Cervélo recommended a little route for us to do. So it was a hill climb. It was just under a mile, 350 feet of vert, average around 7% grade. Jess, how did it go for you?
It was really hard. I felt like I might die, but I did top 10, which was really cool. Up there with LeBecki. That was crazy.
Big name.
Which, yes, exactly. And normally I do not belong up there. I feel like I'm a pretty amateur level rider, but the bike was really fast, and it really says something about the lightness and the speed of it because it's not even for climbing, and it really helped me get up there. So highly recommend.
And I had similar experience on my bike. Like I obviously didn't get as well of a position on the leaderboard as you, but I was in the top 20.
You beat my time, so.
I did, yeah. And it was, yeah, like you said, it just kind of darts uphill. It feels honestly like it could be a climbing bike, and then once you hit the flats, we'll get into that, but like it just flies.
Yeah. Okay, so speed and power transfer, good. What about the handling?
Handling is awesome. It is razor sharp, as you would expect a race bike to be. And it didn't feel twitchy in any of the corners, so it was very stable at higher speeds, rounding around the turns. I would be comfortable going like 60 plus on this thing, bombing down a hill. There's one in Park City that I'm thinking of, and I think it probably, on a good tailwind day, maybe hit 70 on this bike. Like it would be super comfortable to do that, which is scary because you shouldn't be doing that. But the bike like begs you to go faster, and it gives you the confidence to maybe go faster than you should.
What about stiffness and comfort?
So this bike is stiff, but that does not mean it's uncomfortable. We actually talked to Maria about that.
Decades ago, we were running small tires with quite a bit more pressure, almost double what we would run today. What that allows us to do is to build a very stiff carbon frame and fork, etc., while getting a lot of compliance out of the tires. While we've learned how to balance carbon and make it more compliant in very specific areas, we can still make it a very stiff system and get the compliance needed for long distances out of the large volume tire.
All right, Jess, so what tire width would you run? Would you stick to the 29 millimeter, or would you go a little bit wider?
I'd probably go a little bit wider just for comfort, so I might go 30 or 31.
I'd probably go 30 or 32, but 29's plenty adequate for most people's roads. But here in Salt Lake, we have the harsh winters and roads are pretty beat up, so I'm gonna go a little bit wider.
So Jono, what terrain is this made for?
This bike is ideal for rolling terrains and shorter punchy climbs. But that's not saying it's not a climbing bike. You can definitely do that. We saw that in the Giro just last month. So it is definitely an all-arounder, but it excels in those rolling terrains.
So who is this bike for?
Well, it's designed for a specific group of cyclists, people that are prioritizing speed, aerodynamics, and high-performance riding. And if you're someone that may be looking for something that's more comfortable, more endurance, then this bike is probably not for you, unless you're super fit and like the racy Geo.
And it's probably not for those people that are going on super long climbs like on Alpe d'Huez.
Yeah, you should ride the R5 for that.
Thanks for watching our first impressions of the Cervélo S5. If you liked this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And if you have any questions about the new S5 or any bikes in the Cervélo lineup, reach out to our gearheads today, and we'll see you out on the roads.